The Mariners lost another series, but we actually saw some positives this weekend. We'll share those and answer more of your questions here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Monday, June 12th, 2023. This is Trident and Colby for the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you so much for making us your first listen. Subscribe, like, and turn on alerts if you're watching on YouTube, or subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform if you like what you hear. And if you're part of the crew and rock with us every single day, let us know in the comments below. And if you want to hear from us even more, please consider signing up for our Patreon. You can now get a free 7-day trial to check out the show. The link, as well as our social accounts, is in the description of this episode. And this episode is, of course, Mailbag Monday, the show where we answer your Mariners questions. Be sure to stick around until later on in the show to find out how you can win an autographed Luis Castillo card. But for now, let's dig into this mailbag, starting with Dennis, who asks, how early is too early to be excited about our offense starting to hit again? It seems like they were starting to figure it out a little bit, and it's making me excited, but I'm still a little bit skeptical due to how our offense was the past few months. Colby? Yesterday, when you put out the tweet for mailbag questions, you said that you saw some positives over the weekend. So what were they?
Well, it's not really the question, but I guess we'll just answer a completely different one.
Well, no,
they were mostly
I
on
assume
the
that
offense,
I assume that they're tied to the offense. Yeah,
sure. So yeah, I think, over the last San Diego series and this series against the Angels, with the exception of the second game against San Diego, the offense has been pretty good, and it's been a pretty familiar sight to what we saw in the second half of last year, which is, yes, the Mariners are still striking out a little bit too much, but when they're getting to these 0-2, 1-2 counts, they're battling, they're fouling off pitches, they're jacking up the pitch count of these guys so that they're at 100 pitches in the fifth or early in the sixth inning, and they're trying to get to that bullpen. We saw them do it with Musgrove, we saw them do it with Sandoval, we saw them do it with Ohtani. And we even saw them do it yesterday with Canning. They just really couldn't get the big hit to break the thing open yesterday. That was the issue with yesterday's performance. But we're seeing them jack up pitch counts. We're seeing them draw walks. Teoscar drew a couple walks the other day. Thought maybe we should do an emergency pod just for that. But they are also hitting a few more home runs the last few games as well. We're seeing some power. We're seeing walks. We're seeing the strikeouts go down. We're seeing long at-bats. And those are all really positive signs, because those are things we have not seen from this offense for most of this year. Typically, you got to 2 strikes and it was, the at-bat's going to end in the next pitch or two. This time around, they're fouling off pitches. They're getting into more desirable counts. They're taking more close pitches. And if they do all of that, the strikeout numbers really, they don't matter, because if you're consistently putting guys on base, if you're consistently pressuring the pitcher and forcing the pitcher to throw high stress pitches each and every inning, then you're eventually going to break the dam, and you're going to get into the middle portions of teams' bullpens, which is where you really want to attack. The back end guys are very hard to score off of. Those guys in the middle, that's who you can attack. That's who you can get to. And we saw them do that for 4 out of the last 5 games. Unfortunately, they only won 2 of them, but that's what happens when your pitching just doesn't show up either. This is still a ball club that is going to go as far as their pitching will take them. So the offense, what we've seen over the last 5 days, that is good enough for the Mariners to go on a run here. But the pitching has to follow. And unfortunately, we're just in this pattern right now where you don't know what you're going to get when Gilbert or Kirby take them out. You don't know which version you're going to get, which is really a bummer, because if the offense looked like this for the first 2 months when your pitching was, unbeatable, you're probably 7-8 games over 500 right now. So it's a bummer, but yes, we are seeing positive signs. Still way too early. I mean, it's only been 4 or 5 games to declare the offense fixed or anything like that, but it's certainly trending in the right direction. Now you have to get the pitching back to where it was. And that I feel pretty good that they can do.
Yeah, they're doing it against good pitchers. You think about Friday against Ohtani, you think about Saturday against Sandoval. Their approaches against both of those guys, obviously, especially in the case of Ohtani was nowhere near as effective as he can be. We do have to account for that, but still, nevertheless, so really nice to see, this offense, string out some at bats, take some pitches, and take advantage of some opportunities, right? Not just doing it with the occasional long ball, actually, moving runners over and stringing together some hits. On Friday, they entered the 9th inning with 9 walks and 6 strikeouts. That's going to play, and that's what makes Friday's loss in general all the more frustrating. Was in spite of that, they still lost that game. But that's the formula right there, especially when you're going up against the Otanis of the world. So we saw it in the first game against San Diego as well, against Musgrove. Like they are putting together some better performances. It's just the wins aren't really following suit just yet, and that's really because, like you mentioned, the pitching hasn't been anywhere near as stellar as it was through the first 2 months of the season. So hopefully once that starts to balance out a little bit here, because look, Logan Gilbert's not going to get blown up every single start. I think we saw on Saturday what Brian Wu can be. We saw the proof of concept there. We'll see how Bryce Miller fares tonight after a couple of really rough outings. So hopefully the rotation evens out here, and as long as the offense can do this, I mean, you should start winning some ball games, especially as your schedule starts to lighten up a little bit.
I mean, bad timing playing the Marlins when you're playing them, but
Marlins are on a little bit of a heater right now.
The White Sox
obviously
until they went down to Miami. So
White Sox obviously have some talent. That's going to be a tough series.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every series is tough. Whatever. That's an evergreen statement when you're talking about Major League Baseball, but still.
Even the Oakland A's went and swept the Milwaukee Brewers. Baseball.
That's insane.
Baseball, man. Like,
yeah.
So, yeah, and by the way, real fast, the Oakland A's are on a 5-game win streak right now. You want to tell me it's impossible for the Mariners to do the same? Get out of here with your nonsense. Of course it's possible. Just the White Sox won 6 of 7 before they went down to Miami. Come on. The Mariners roster isn't as talented or more talented than those two. Of course they are. Of course the Mariners have a run in them. They need to get it going before too long here, but of course they have that type of run in them. Maybe it starts tonight against Miami, but we'll see. I'm just hoping the offense continues to carry over. You miss Alcantara, which may or may not be a good thing because he's struggling right now, but also he's still Sandy Alcantara. So, we'll see how it goes. I say this way too often. Pitching matchups look pretty favorable to Seattle, but that has literally not mattered once this year. So I guess I'll just keep on saying it for no reason whatsoever.
Maybe don't say it. Maybe we should switch it up and just completely ignore.
Well, Miller's going to get
how good it looks
tonight.
On paper.
Castillo's due for a blow-up start.
Sure.
And obviously we all saw what George Kirby did. Like, that dude can't pitch.
Clearly. All right, moving on. J Mars says, "Good afternoon, gentlemen. Hope your Monday is fan-frickin-tastic." It's all right. My question is twofold. In your opinion, how many players from the current 26-man roster make the All-Star game? Then how many of those are here on opening day 2024? Colby, you want to start with this one?
No, I want you to tell the people why you hate Julio Rodriguez.
Okay, yeah.
Before we get on the show, Ty says Julio never deserves to play in an All-Star game. He's not good. He's unclutched.
I never said that.
He's overpaid. He's overhyped.
Well, I didn't say the overpaid.
He's not a good
I didn't say that. No,
word for word, Ty's like verbatim before we hit record. So
I don't think that it should be a. I don't think that it should be.
Julio Rodriguez.
All right, you think that I'm like going to cower away from this and like not actually say this because what I'm scared of the reaction.
Julio Rodriguez sucks.
I don't care.
Say it.
I don't think that Julio should be guaranteed an All-Star spot.
That's not what you said.
I think that he's been a slightly above league average hitter this year, and he hasn't been clutch in key moments. So Friday night is all the proof you need. Friday night is all the proof you need. Swinging at a pitch
as much guff as I take for hating Dylan Moore.
Do you want me to make my argument here, or are you just going to keep on talking?
No, I don't want you to make your argument. I'm trying to save you, Ty. I'm trying to save you, actually.
You're not saving me from anything. I don't need you to save me from anything.
I'll
say it straight up that Julio should not be guaranteed a spot on the All-Star game or on the All-Star
team. Now you're qualifying it. Julio shouldn't be guaranteed. Should Julio be on the All-Star team? Yes or no?
No.
There you go.
Not this year.
He's an idiot. There you go.
Compared to the rest of the league,
game, it doesn't matter. It's an exhibition game.
Okay, but if we're talking about but if we're talking about the overall, if we are just talking about that's great. I hear you. Totally. He's probably going to get into the All-Star game. I totally get that. That doesn't matter. If we're talking about just the pure quality of players in the American League this year and the American League outfielders, Julio's not one of the 5 best outfielders in the American League this year.
In an exhibition game that's in your home ballpark. Get off your high horse.
Okay,
Ty.
I know that he's probably
game as much as Major League Baseball does, which is not at all. And how do we know this? Because Miguel
You're the only one saying that. I care about this a ton. You're the one that wanted me to make this claim that Julio sucks, which I don't think that he sucks, but I think that he is a slightly above league average hitter this year, which is not good enough to be an all-star in my mind. It's not.
Okay, that's interesting. Ty all of a sudden now decides to care about the All-Star game when it's in Seattle. Very nice.
All-Star game. Keyword is star. Stars show up in prime time. Stars show up when the game is.
So Julio's not a star because you said he doesn't show up.
Not this year. He's not playing. He's not playing one this year.
No,
he's not.
We had the same problem last year. Did you not?
I am incredibly.
Is Julio Rodriguez a star in this game?
Can you stop talking over me?
Answer the question.
Julio, what was your question?
Is Julio Rodriguez?
I can't even hear myself. I can't even hear myself.
Is Julio Rodriguez a star? Yes or no?
Overall, inherently, yes.
No.
This year, though, not playing. He's not playing like one this year.
Okay, well, you're wrong, but that's fine. Julio
he's not. Look at his numbers. Look at what he does late in games. And tell me with a straight face that he's playing like a star this year. Tell me with a straight face.
Okay, you want to look at what he's done over the last month?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. All right, let's do it.
You want to see what he did on Friday night? Taking 99 down the pipe.
One game wipes away the last month.
What? Yeah. It's only been one game. It's only been one game that's happened with Julio this year, where he looks completely, utterly lost at the plate. It's only been one game, Colby. It's only been one game. Sure.
Nope, that's not what
Absolutely.
I said that you're letting one. Okay, here we go. Julio Rodriguez in his last 30 games. 287, 341, 508, 35 hits, 7 home runs, 22 RBI, 13 extra base hits, 8 walks, 6 for 6 stolen bases, 140 WRC plus. All-star.
Okay, what does the rest of the year look like?
That's an all-star.
What has he done late in games?
3 bad weeks.
Hey, when he has
three bad weeks in the Superstar,
what's your confidence? Colby, very simple question here. What's your confidence levels with Julio up to bat and a runner on second, 1 out in the bottom of the ninth?
Not good.
You need 1 run.
Not good, but that doesn't mean he's not an all-star.
I don't know about
see, Ty's one of these. Ty thinks David Ortiz is better than Edgar because he's clutch. Boom, confirmed.
No, I'm just saying that he's not playing like a star.
All right.
I am incredibly disappointed. I am incredibly disappointed with Julio this year. Well, we're at 12 minutes now. I got to read the ad.
Oh, okay, so you're just not going to answer the guy's question. That's nice. To answer your question,
I'm gonna answer the question after we talk about eBay Motors. Hush you.
Go ahead.
eBay Motors.
Careful, Ty.
eBay Motors. eBay Motors.
Careful.
eBay Motors. Let's ride, Colby. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head on over to eBay Motors. With the eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you so much for making us your first listen here on Mailbag Monday. Sorry to get all Skip and Shannon on you guys here, but Skip over here just wouldn't let me, get out a thought.
Watch your filthy mouth.
Oh, don't test me. Don't test me. So,
Ty. No, you're
okay, Agent of
Chaos. To me in this regard. Go ahead. Answer the question.
Hey, you know how much you talk about O'Neal Cruz? How he's not really a star? Look at his numbers last year compared to Julio's numbers this year. Go ahead.
Okay. O'Neal Cruz isn't a star. He's not good. Because you know what? I have last year's numbers that tell me Julio is very good. I have last year's numbers to tell me O'Neal Cruz sucks.
That's right. They decide the All-Star game based off.
Yes, they do. They literally do. How is Miguel Cabrera an All-Star?
We all right. So let's put that aside. We decide, the caliber of quality of player based off of just last year.
Yes.
This year doesn't matter
when it comes to the All-Star game. Yes, we do it every single year.
This doesn't
every single year we do that. Every year there's guys who get in based on what they did last year. Literally every year. And every year we complain about it. Yes, it does matter. Jesus Christ. Now answer the guy's question because we've been talking about this for 5 minutes.
You started it.
Answer the question.
Okay. All-Stars this year? Julio's probably getting in. I was never denying that. I was never denying that fact. I don't think that he should get in. I don't think he should get in, but he will.
So you're sitting here. You're sitting here making a battle for something that you don't even believe in. That's nice. That's nice. Okay, I'm done. No, seriously, I'm done. Okay. We have to move on. We do have to move on. Yes.
Age of
Julio's
the
an
Chaos.
all-star.
Yeah.
Okay.
Julio's probably going to be an all-star.
Yep.
Castillo, Gilbert. Yeah, probably Castillo. It's going to be Castillo.
Gilbert, and then maybe before that last start, but I guess he still has time. Do you know when they officially name like the actual team? It's like the week before, right?
It's like the week before or 2 weeks before at most. But then there's going to be guys that drop out and everything, like guys that end up starting like a day or two before the All-Star game, so they're not even available. So Gilbert probably gets in just off of that. Maybe outside shot Kirby might sneak in based off of that. It depends on how many guys drop out. I'll say Seawald makes it. I think Seawald's going to make it.
Yeah.
I don't know about any other position player for the Mariners, but again, we are trying to push JP Crawford to the All-Star game. Hashtag JP for ASG. All you have to do is send us a screenshot of you voting for JP in the All-Star game, either on Twitter or via email, lockedonmariners@gmail.com, and you can win a signed Luis Castillo card. I don't know if Colby, if you have that there to flash up on the screen. No, you do not. All right, but it's a great looking card. It's a Luis Castillo autograph. So get in on that. You could win that card.
So get to work, you lazy bums. Not enough Mariners on this ballot.
You're still winning someone's still winning the card though, even if he doesn't make it. Yeah. So
to answer your question, I think it's Castillo, Seawald, Julio. I feel like I don't want to say Seawald's a lock, but I think he's perfect in save opportunities. He's got the strikeouts. He's got the ERA. He's got the track record of the last few years, which absolutely matters. So I would say those three, and then maybe Kirby or Gilbert. And to answer the second part of your question, all those guys are on the team next year.
All right. So all of the All-Stars are on the team next year.
Every Mariner who makes the All-Star team this year will be on the team next year. That was part of the second. That was the second part of the question.
Was that actually what the question? I thought it was just how many of the 26 guys were going to be on the team next year. That's how I took it.
How many of those guys? Throw it back up there. Let's see.
How many players
of those are on? Yeah.
Oh, and then how many? Okay, yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Maybe Seawald gets traded, but I can't confidently say that. Anyway, we've spent so much time on this question, so we're moving on.
Baby, let's go.
All right, Specimen here asks if you had to choose one reason why this team has been pretty bad for most part of the season, what would it be? I mean, it's the offense. It's your stars, or it's Julio, it's France, it's Gino, it's Teo. All these guys not performing anywhere close to what their capabilities are. I mean, France lately has been pretty good, but
so is Teo. So is Julio.
Yeah. Teo's
right.
Yeah,
which happens
Julio's been better
with your offense looking better over the last week, huh?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's connected, but. Yeah, the answer is inconsistent offense. I don't think there's even a close second.
All right, next question. Josh, how many, if any, Mariners prospects are you expecting to see in the Futures game next month? I'd be fairly surprised if Harry Ford wasn't there.
Yeah, I think he's the only one, though, because it's not World versus USA anymore. It's just American League versus National League.
Yeah.
So, like I don't know. It's weird sometimes because, like, Hancock probably didn't deserve to be there last year, but he looked really good pitching out of it. So sometimes they just go with stuff instead of pedigree. So obviously somebody will represent Seattle in the Futures game. My guess would be Harry Ford. I'd be maybe Baroa. Like they want to throw like some stuff out there, but I think it's one of those two guys. Like I could have seen Brian Wu maybe being kind of the surprise number 2, but I think it's probably just going to be Ford.
I would agree.
There's really not a rhyme or reason for how they pick those teams. So there could be a couple, but I would feel really safe betting that Harry Ford plays in that game.
A lot going on the show today. So I forgot to mention that, Mariners Marlins tonight. You can catch all the action on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. We don't have an ad for the second segment here, but I should remind you that this is the Locked On Mariners podcast. It is Mailbag Monday. Thank you so much for making us your first listen. Let's get back into these questions here. Darren McCacken, enjoyer. This was actually a question that we were planning on answering on last week's mailbag, but we didn't have time to get to, so we're going to answer it here. With the trade deadline just around the corner, when will the first shots happen? Who are the locks being traded? Any of them fit the Mariners offense narrative? We love Darren McCacken. No, you love Darren McCacken. You love Darren McCacken so much that there's no more love to go around, really.
You love Darren McCacken as much as Ty hates Julio. It really is something.
Clearly. I do. I hate Julio. There's definitely going to be, by the way, people in the comments that do think that I legitimately hate Julio.
Yeah, I know.
I don't. I am disappointed in Julio, though, and you should be disappointed in Julio as well, and you should hold Julio to a higher standard, especially in the clutch. Absolutely. Anyway,
haters gonna hate.
Final thoughts on that. First shots. All right, so Jerry mentioned this on 710 Seattle Sports week or two ago when he was asked about the trade deadline, that right now, we're kind of in this awkward period where front offices are mostly focused on the draft, and they're going to be focused on the draft, almost solely focused on the draft through the All-Star break, which is when the draft, of course, happens. Teams are having preliminary discussions right now, preliminary trade talks, and you might see, what it comes down to is, what does shots mean to you? Like, define that, right? Because if it's just like the Rays trading for who was the guy that they traded for recently?
Stevenson.
Yeah, Robert Stevenson. Like, then that's already happened, right? Like, that's already going to occur. But like the first like actual big shoe to drop, I mean, we've had the occasional pre-All-Star game big trade, like the Jeff Samardzija trade,
the John Lester trade too.
Was that
that might have been right?
They traded?
No, it was Samardzija and Jason Hamill were traded together. That's what it was.
Right, that's what it was. Good memory. Yeah, because I remember they were like, "What team are they going to represent in the All-Star game?" and all this. Yeah,
because they were Oakland's only 2 reps, and it's like Oakland has to have a rep. So what are we going to do? And then I think they just had Samardzija play for the American League.
So in terms of like the first like actual like legit big name to move, I'd say probably a week and a half after All-Star game. Maybe a week.
I think we might get something maybe the week before the All-Star game, but like we'll probably get like small stuff in June, at the end of June. But like in terms of like the first like pass and bomb or whatever you want to call it type of trade, it's probably like July 20th, somewhere in that range. Deadline's on August 1st this year too, by the way. So that's probably. As for who's guaranteed to get traded, nobody. Literally nobody is guaranteed to get traded. So,
and there's always like a few guys who we go into the deadline feeling like are locks, and then they don't get traded. Like Ian Happ last year. Now Ian Happ signed an extension with the Cubs. Like
Wilson Contreras from the Cubs.
That was that I thought for sure that was going to happen. Trevor Story a couple of years back. Certain teams that like should be selling are weird, and they just like for whatever reason they're gonna die on that hill and they're not gonna trade their guys.
I mean, I don't know, because like the Contreras thing worked out. They QO'd him and they got a draft pick out of it. But sometimes the draft pick
didn't work out though.
No. Sometimes sometimes the draft pick you get though is worth more to you than what teams are offering you. So you just let it ride. Which, by the way, is why I'm not sharing another of my co-hosts' really bad opinions that Teoscar Hernandez is definitely getting traded at the deadline. Maybe.
Never saw that.
You did. You said, I guess you technically see he won't be here next year. So
I said he's not going to be here next year.
I also don't agree with that. Well,
okay.
I think that it's more of a possibility than you are letting on. That's how I would word that.
But okay. All right, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think that like Teo is like guaranteed to be traded.
I like Teo. Teo's a good clubhouse fit, and I bet you anything he's probably going to be really freaking good next year.
I said last night on the AMA, I was like, I wouldn't be shocked if he put up a 130 WRC plus the rest of the year, because this is what Teo does.
I
Like,
mean,
we
he's
know
pretty
how
much
good
doing
he
that
is.
right now, like the last 3
Yeah.
weeks, right? Like, yeah.
The last week or so, last 2 weeks, yeah. It's been a slow.
Yeah.
He's back over 100 again
Yeah.
overall, and he just looks better. But
Yep.
yeah, I said last night also on the AMA that, like, if I had to choose right now, I would just keep Teo, play it out, and then slap the qualifying offer on him. And if he doesn't want to take it, cool, fine, whatever. If he does, or he wants to work out some kind of shorter extension, awesome. But also, if some idiotic team's going to offer me Pete Crow Armstrong for my rental, then yeah, I just might go ahead and trade him. But that's pretty much
Yeah,
what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, I don't think he's for sure getting traded unless they're just out. Like they're
I don't
done, like
even
they're
think,
cooked.
man. I don't see them just giving away Teoscar Hernandez. So, like, they're not going to trade him for like the relief prospect. I
Well,
think it's going to be
again,
like,
it goes. It's the Wilson Contreras conversation, right? If you
right,
can slap
right,
the
yeah,
Q on him and the draft pick that you could get for him,
right.
look, and you better put the qualifying offer on him because,
Oh
like,
yeah,
even if
sure.
he exits the season as just like a league average hitter, like kind
He's
of
getting
hovering
$100
around there,
million.
WRC, like that's still a bargain if he accepts that, which he's
Yeah.
not,
Oh yeah.
but that's
Oh,
still
you're
a
pumped.
bargain if he does. Yeah.
Yeah, if you get Teo for $20 million next year, you're pumped because he's already worth that right now, and he's barely hitting. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Colin says, if the Mariners are contending, am I wrong in thinking they need to prioritize trading for a starting pitcher? Seems like the young rotation could use some experience and predictability.
Yes,
It's
you're wrong.
it's all cost dependent.
Yeah.
Right. It's all cost dependent. If
It's also a little dependent on Marco
that too, it's obviously dependent on
because the guy
where
that you
you
just
are.
described, the guy you just
Yeah.
described though is Marco.
Yeah.
Experience and dependability. That's Marco.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, like Alex Cobb, but is Alex Cobb going to be too expensive?
right. I mean, like
Possible.
if you're at the deadline and you're 2 games under 500, you're not worried about that. You're just gonna, you're gonna send Wu back down, and you're just gonna call up Hancock. You're just gonna call up Dollard if he's healthy. You're just gonna kind of piece the number 5 spot throughout. So, yeah, I wouldn't prioritize pitching. I would not.
Yeah. If there's like a Mike Leake type of
Sure, yeah,
deal out
yeah.
there, I can't really think of anyone that would fit that bill right now off the top of my head. But if
Desclafani,
there's
maybe.
if there's an opportunity, and we know that they've been interested in Desclafani in the
Yeah.
past, so
It's
maybe
not
that
working
makes
too
sense.
well, I don't think, but yeah, something like that.
But yeah, if
But
there's an opportunity like that where what did they trade for Leak? Raider Escanio?
yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you can trade someone like that, just a lottery ticket
Sure.
for like a back end of the rotation type of starter,
Mhm.
fine.
Yeah.
That probably makes sense even if you're like just hovering around 500. But
Yeah. I mean, like John Lester, right? He got traded to the Cardinals, I think, for like nothing. Like if you can do
Mhm.
that, fine, whatever.
Right.
But I think like in terms of like your heavy lifting, you should prioritize the bats.
Right. All right. Jace was expecting Prolander Baroa to be called up by now. How's he been doing since being transitioned to a reliever? Should we see him called up soon? So he's been like numbers wise relatively fine. He has only given up 2 runs over like 9 outings out of the bullpen, something like that. He's still walking a lot of guys. He's struck out 20. He's walked 10 during that time. And I just kind of wonder if the Mariners don't think that he can throw enough strikes at the major league level yet. So
yeah, his first 4 outings, he was very good with I think he only walked 1 guy in his first 4 outings, maybe 2. Since then, it's been an issue. So, it's kind of tough to preach control the zone, and then you call up a guy who's gonna run like an 8 walks per 9, and so yeah, honestly, Burrow is just not one of your best options right now. And we just right before we recorded, we saw Joe Doyle tell us that Ty Adcock is on the taxi squad. He's in Seattle for this series. Whether or not he gets added, I don't know. We don't know that yet, but they went to Adcock before they went to Baroa, so that should tell you where Baroa is right now.
Murphy had the elbow flare up again, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah,
he
that's
said
probably
it's the same elbow that he just was on the IL for, so he's headed back.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
that's really unfortunate. So maybe that's the move with
Probably.
regards to Adcock, because we haven't seen yeah, we haven't gotten another move, right? So
No, not yet.
Yeah, so we'll see. It is a little weird that Baroa hasn't gotten a chance yet, because again, he was on the taxi squad back in Atlanta, which obviously, makes sense because the location close to Arkansas, etc. But I thought we would see him by now, but I would assume that means that they and again, now with the context of going to Adcock over him right now, means that they don't feel too confident in his ability to throw strikes.
Yeah. Quick side note on Adcock, because I know some people might be curious. He's only thrown 39 career innings in the minors. He went to Elon, same as George Kirby.
Drafted the same year as George Kirby.
Yep. It is 99 with a pretty decent slider. So, kind of a typical reliever profile.
Yeah, he struck out a lot of guys this year so far. So
throws enough strikes. Like, it's a bigly quality stuff. So again, this is why Jerry usually doesn't go out and trade for middle guys. He'll just pull somebody up from the system, like Adcock.
Yep.
Anyways,
chills. Ty Adcock, top 5 reliever in baseball. And
there we go.
That's just what they do here in Seattle. So even when they're painfully mediocre, you can count on the bullpen
the only year they had bad bullpens were the 2 years that they were rebuilding.
Every other year that they chose to have bad bullpens.
Yeah, literally the 2 years they were like, screw the bullpen. So the bullpen's going to be fine.
And even during those years, we saw guys like Austin Adams.
Yeah, Austin Adams was so valuable. You flipped him as part of the Ty France package. So
and then we had like the little flashes of Connor Sadzik, Brennan.
Yep,
the same. Yeah.
Brennan, nasty splitter. Will Vest, who's now a pretty decent reliever. So
you know what? I could see them traded for him again at some point, like in the off season.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like to replace like Gott or something like that.
Yeah. All right, last question of the day comes from Mariners jersey tracker, and it's a very on-brand question. Favorite Mariners jersey of all time?
They're wearing them on Saturday, baby. They're wearing them on Saturday.
Yeah.
Now, because those technically aren't a Mariners jersey.
It's part of the Mariners jersey rotation.
It's part of the kit rotation, which fine. But aside from that one that has actually been worn by the Mariners before, early 90s, the early 90s white with the yellow lettering and the blue piping around it. So good. And the road grays. Yep. Those are the best.
The Northwest greens, when they rock them on the road, pretty fire.
The Northwest green with the gray pants is an elite combo.
Now, if we're strictly just talking jerseys, not accounting for pants, City Connects are up there.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of the Sunday creams, but favorite, like absolute favorite, Steelheads. And then if close second, I might have to go like the rookie Griffey. The ones we're talking about.
Yep. Yeah. Also the vest in the 90s, just the white Mariners with the no sleeves. Like, you should bring those back for a game. Sure. Yeah.
I enjoy a good vest. Yeah.
I do.
Do the Rockies still wear the vest?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know if anybody wears the vest. I know the Rays used to wear the vest when they were the Devil Rays.
Pirates had a vest.
At
one point. The Lloyd McClendon years.
Yeah. Vest. I wouldn't be shocked if Vest made a comeback at some point. If Major League Baseball still allowed. Maybe there's a rule. I don't know, but they wore the vest for the Back to the Future.
I dare one of these teams that's doing a City Connect to do a vest.
Yeah,
for their City Connect.
They should. They absolutely should. What's the Turn Ahead the Clock night? They wore the vest. That's the last time the Mariners. I am not a fan of the Turn Ahead the Clock jerseys. But no.
I'm a fan of Ben Gamel and the Turn Ahead the Clock jerseys.
Heck yeah.
And Nelly Cruz. Oh,
good Lord. Poor D Gordon tried to go sleeveless too. Just nah, dude. Nah. That's not for you.
Oh, D.
That's right.
Yeah.
Name that reference.
All right. I've only mentioned it once, and I have to mention it 3 times legally. I'm obligated to mention it 3 times. So apologies, but I'm going to mention this twice in a row. You can catch the Marlins and the Mariners on the Mariners Hometown broadcast tonight SiriusXM via the SXM app. And again, you can catch the Marlins and the Mariners tonight on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app.
Where can I watch it or listen to it?
rocketmoney.com/lockdown.
Okay.
All right.
Don't forget to send us those ballots, guys. Step it up.
Send us those ballots. Let's get JP to the All-Star game. We have quite a ways to go. We got quite the hill to climb here. But I think if we all, combine together like Voltron, we can do it.
Ty. You're losing them. Allow me. We're all in this together.
We're all in this together. Are we going to get demonetized if I sing that?
Oh.
That's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, just ignore that YouTube.
I'm legitimately nervous about that.
For Colby Patnode, I'm Trident Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez, that's TANEGNCLZ, and Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok as well over at Locked On Mariners. That's one word, Locked On Mariners. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. Thank you again for making us your first listen. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.